Hello and welcome to Carmen Miller's Talk of the Town, Fort Mill, TKK. I'm your host, Patti Mercer, here at the Elizabeth Ford Living History Project, which is kicked off by the Fort Mill History Museum tonight. Let's check it out. Tell us what tonight was all about.
Tonight, this was a special night, and then it was really our kickoff of raising membership funds and sponsorship funds for the Fort Mill History Museum. But bigger than that, it was about living history. So we had several candidates up there that had been interviewed, I would say probably about 8 to 9 years ago. And some of them are now in heaven, I think about 4 of them, but their history that they tell, it is for the people who are just moving here, or even for those who are here to see how we grew up. And then that history must always be displayed.
50 years ago, you didn't have to go to Charlotte or Rock Hill to buy anything. You could buy a man's suit or a woman's dress or anything on Main Street in Fort Mill.
I can remember my granddaddy had a horse and wagon to deliver groceries in, but I must have been 4 or 5 years old then.
LeAnne, I would say that this evening, it must have exceeded your expectations.
It has. We were really hoping for a good showing of people from the community, and we have definitely had that. Everybody heard the name Elizabeth Ford, and they wanted to be part of it.
Well, you know, she represents the heart of Fort Mill and having the vision of knowing how important these stories and memories of why Fort Mill is so special.
Yes, she does. And she and people who worked with her at that time, they had that vision at a time when there wasn't a museum and there wasn't a website and all the things that we have now to be able to disseminate this material. She didn't have any of that.
Right.
But she just said, this needs to be preserved. And she had that initiative to do it and grab it, and it sat for a while until it was possible to bring it to the people.
It's funny the things that come back to you sometimes when something has been years you hadn't thought about it. As I was interviewing some of these older citizens, it just amazed me the things they wanted to point out, the things they wanted people to know, and so they would talk to me about things like that, and I'm saying they appreciated their heritage.
Your mom was honored tonight. How does that make you feel?
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Lot of hard work she's done, and to have kind of the completion part of it, to see her efforts come to fruition. It's pretty cool.
What do you think this means to your mom tonight, to be honored in this way?
This is so rewarding for all of us because we know how much this has mattered to her for so long. Mm-hmm. And so we've seen at the house, the notebooks, the pictures, we've seen the drive
right.
and the interest, and to see so many things come together so beautifully. It was a really special night.
And this is going to be part of a series
of
continuing videos to showcase those people that really contributed so much.
That's right.
To what we are today in Fort Mill.
Right now we have almost 16 hours of raw footage from these different It's a lot. And we have those available on the archive. They will be live tomorrow morning. And so you can go watch the raw footage, but we're also creating these segments out of it on different topics. Like here tonight we did sort of an overview, but we're going to have specific pieces. Mrs. Close talking about her trip on the Hindenburg.
Amazing.
And a lot of these folks getting their first jobs. And then other topics like civil rights, what that was like living here during that era. And so those will be continually added to the website as they're completed.
Tell me about your history in Fort Mill. How many generations do you go back?
I go back probably, let's see here, 6 generations.
6 generations.
And then that generation really goes back to Granny Sun Springs. Granny Sun Springs was a slave at the Springfield.
What do you think about this living
I think it was wonderful. It's high time they did it.
I love how it really makes us connected to our town.
It really does. It's high time they did it,
Yes.
like I said, and I'm real proud of it. There was a lot of things that we did that didn't call for money or anything, and we did go to the movies a lot. I know when it moved to Confederate Street, you could take a quarter and you could go get in the movie and you could buy popcorn and a drink.
What does it mean to you to see history preserved in this way?
Well, what I love it, and Elizabeth probably does. I was wanting to talk to her and tell her she was my neighbor when we first. She was our neighbor when we first moved here.
Wow!
And they used to come down to my house, and we had a sliding board, and they would have the best time.
Have the best time on a sliding board.
Right.
We do have a small facility, but even if we had a large one, it's important to take history out of the walls, put it in ways that people are interested in and that they can access. This is just one of those ways, but to be able to reach people who don't really want to come to a museum and look at something under glass, this is a different perspective.
Yeah. What does this mean to Fort Mill to preserve history?
We can't let the history of this town escape us. And this has been my piece we've talked about tonight, coming into the schools. And so I have retired from the district, but I am now with the museum, going back into the schools and taking the history trunks from Fort Mill so that this history will become a part of these children, that they will know why they are so special, why we are so special.
We've got a new exhibit that's going to be opening.
Right?
And that is?
It's Bobby Socks and Soda Shops. The folks that were talking in these interviews are talking a lot about their childhoods and their teen years in Fort Mill, which would have been 40s, 50s, 60s. So the exhibit is all about that time period. And there's some wonderful stuff over there from Fort Mill High and the George Fish School, a lot of memorabilia, some things that people will recognize, and just a really enjoyable event because you can see a little bit of what doesn't seem like ancient history. It's just, 50, 60 years ago, but it's foreign to us.
Fort Mill History Museum will continue to do this living history, and if you have a candidate that you would like to recommend for our staff to interview, please contact the Fort Mill History Museum.
Well, that's it for this edition of Carmen Miller's Talk of the Town, Fort Mill, TKK. To see more beautiful homes in our area, simply go to homesfortmill.com. But if you want to check out history, make sure you do it at the Fort Mill History Museum. Until next time, this is Patti Mercer. Bye-bye.